monde, encore une autre belle journée. Je viens de terminer ma tournée à travers le Canada, ma tournée de gros bon sens où j'ai partagé mon plan de couper taxes et impôts, bâtir des logements, réparer le budget et stopper les crimes. Une tournée qui m'a amené au Québec à plusieurs reprises pour voir la belle nation québécoise et surtout ses travailleurs extraordinaires. Des travailleurs en foresterie, en aluminium, des fermiers, des pêcheurs et d'autres mondes qui travaillent fort pour bâtir notre pays. Et j'ai remarqué l'incroyable énergie et courage de nos travailleurs qui ont toujours pu vivre la promesse du Canada, la promesse que le Canada fait à tous les jeunes, que n'importe qui de n'importe où peut faire n'importe quoi. C'est une promesse que le Canada m'a fait quand j'étais né d'une mère monoparentale qui avait juste 16 ans. Une promesse que mes parents m'ont fait après, à 2 enseignants, que si je travaillais fort, je pouvais avoir une bonne vie. Et c'était le cas pour tout le monde. Avant le gouvernement coalition Bloc libéral. Mais après 9 ans du Bloc libéral, tout coûte plus cher. Après, les taxes et les déficits inflationnistes ont gonflé le coût de la vie et doublé la dette nationale. Le travail n'est plus payant. Vous le gagnez, le Bloc libéral en prend. Le coût de logement a doublé et a augmenté plus rapidement que dans tous les autres pays du G7, beaucoup plus cher ici au Canada qu'aux États-Unis. La criminalité et les drogues sont présents dans nos rues qui étaient auparavant sécuritaires. Et que fait le Bloc face au gouvernement le plus centralisateur et coûteux dans l'histoire du pays? Le Bloc a voté pour garder au pouvoir le gouvernement le plus centralisateur et coûteux dans notre histoire 188 fois. Le Bloc a voté pour des crédits budgétaires totalisant 500 milliards de dollars. 500 milliards de dollars, c'est un demi-billion. J'avais à apprendre le mot billion parce que je n'étais pas au courant si le mot trillion existait en français. Mais il faut apprendre d'autres mots pour pouvoir exprimer la grandeur de la dette tout en respectant la loi sur les langues officielles au Canada. Donc, billion, c'est 1000 milliards de dollars. Notre dette a doublé à cause du Bloc libéral. Et c'est bizarre qu'une partie soi-disant souverainiste vote toujours pour enlever l'argent des Québécois et le centraliser ici à Ottawa. Le Bloc a voté pour la taxe carbone, le hausse dans la deuxième taxe carbone qui, oui, s'applique au Québec de 17 sous le litre. Le Bloc a voté pour augmenter les taxes sur les gains en capital, sur les fermiers québécois, des entrepreneurs québécois, des médecins québécois. Et maintenant, le Bloc menace à voter encore pour garder Justin Trudeau au pouvoir. Au moment où on a la chance finalement de battre Trudeau et causer des élections afin d'amener un vrai changement basé sur le gros bon sens. Que dit Yves-François Blanchette qui considère encore garder Justin Trudeau au pouvoir? J'ai une annonce aujourd'hui. J'ai une annonce aujourd'hui que les conservateurs de gros bon sens vont mettre de l'avant une motion de non-confiance à l'occasion le plus vite que possible pour déclencher des élections sur les taxes, les impôts et les politiques centralisatrices de Justin Trudeau. Donc, j'ai une question pour le Bloc. Est-ce que le Bloc va voter pour les Québécois en déclenchant cette élection et en faisant une défaite de Justin Trudeau? Ou est-ce que le Bloc va voter pour garder au pouvoir le gouvernement le plus centralisateur et coûteux dans notre histoire? C'est ça la décision pour le Bloc. Ils doivent le prendre avant les élections partielles. Parce que le Bloc ne veut pas que les gens sachent dans les partielles qu'ils gardent Justin Trudeau au pouvoir. Donc, je fais un défi à Yves-François Blanchette. Assez, c'est assez. Annoncez aujourd'hui. Allez-vous, oui ou non, voter pour une motion de non-confiance ou allez-vous garder au pouvoir Justin Trudeau? C'est ça votre décision. Moi, ma décision est faite. Je veux des élections pour élire un gouvernement de gros bon sens qui va couper taxes et impôts, bâtir des logements, réparer le budget et stopper les crimes. Nous allons couper les taxes et impôts pour rendre la vie plus abordable et le travail plus payant. Nous avons réparé le budget en gelant les dépenses, en éliminant la bureaucratie, le gaspillage et les contrats aux consultants. Ça va nous permettre de réduire le déficit, les taxes, les impôts et l'inflation. Nous allons inciter les municipalités d'accélérer les permis de construction, libérer le terrain et couper les taxes sur le développement pour bâtir des logements abordables pour les Québécois et tous les Canadiens. Nous allons stopper les crimes en mettant les vrais criminels en prison, en sécurisant nos frontières pour empêcher les drogues et les armes illégaux. Et nous allons permettre les chasseurs de garder leur propriété. C'est ça le gros bon sens qui est nécessaire pour rebâtir le Canada qu'on aime. Un Canada où n'importe qui peut faire n'importe quoi et qui peut accomplir une bonne vie pour tout le monde. Merci beaucoup. Je vais juste faire mes commentaires en anglais et après ça, je serai très heureux de répondre à vos questions. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, everyone. Despite my strangely timed cold, I had a great summer traveling across the country, seeing the extraordinary people, the farmers and fishermen, the factory workers and forestry workers, the hardworking people, the soldiers who protect our country and keep it glorious and free. They reminded me of the Canadian promise, the promise that anyone from anywhere could do anything, that hard work would get you a powerful paycheck that bought affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. A country where it didn't matter where you came from. It mattered where you were going. It didn't matter who you knew. It mattered what you could do. That's the country that I inherited. I was born of humble means and raised by school teachers. The country my wife came to as a refugee from Venezuela, 6 people in a 2-bedroom basement apartment in Montreal, but look at the success they've enjoyed. That was the Canadian promise. But after 9 years of the NDP Liberals, that promise is broken. Everything costs more because of money printing deficits that destroy our money and our dollar, and high taxes that punish work and destroy paychecks. A carbon tax that's now 17 cents a liter, which the NDP Liberals have voted and budgeted to increase to 61 cents a liter. That tax increase would grind our economy to a halt. The trucks and trains that deliver the goods to our supermarkets would stop rolling. Their drivers would be unemployed. The factories that ship their goods in those trucks and trains would shut down. It would be like a nuclear winter for our economy if the Trudeau NDP Liberal agenda of hiking the carbon tax to 61 cents a liter were to go ahead. Now, hard work doesn't pay. You earn it, the NDP Liberals take it from you. Housing costs have doubled. Faster rising housing prices in Canada than in any other G7 country. Now 25 to 45% more expensive. We have middle-class workers living in cars and tents. Tent cities have now become common in every single center across this country where they never existed before in once pristine and beautiful community parks. We now have people living in tents, either because they can't afford homes or because the radical NDP Liberal agenda of flooding our communities with taxpayer-funded and decriminalized hard drugs has addicted our people, leaving them lying on pavement, their contorted bodies, half lifeless, maybe they are among the 44,000 people who have died of overdoses in the last 9 years of this chaotic policy. Our borders have lost all their security. 99% of shipping containers go uninspected. That's where all the drugs and guns come in, leading to a 120% increase in gun violence under Justin Trudeau's radical agenda of banning hunting rifles while allowing criminals to run free. Catch and release criminal justice has made us all lose our security. Now, Jagmeet Singh, who supported all these policies, in fact pushed for them to happen, says that Justin Trudeau is radioactive. And right before the by-elections, Singh suddenly had a change of heart, or so he said, publishing a video claiming that he was no longer in the Costly Coalition. Well, let's look at the wording. The Costly Coalition is called a Supply and Confidence Agreement. So if you're pulling out, you have to vote non-confidence. If you don't, you're still in the agreement. No matter what your video stunt would have everyone else believe. So the question that Jagmeet Singh has been asked 31 times in the last week, and he has refused to answer, is whether he will vote non-confidence to trigger a carbon tax election. Now, why is that? Well, let's just inspect the timing here for a second. He did his video 2 days before voting started in those by-elections, trying to trick people into thinking he was no longer part of the coalition. The by-elections will be held on Monday, after which he can just change his mind and go back to voting to keep Trudeau in power. So I have an announcement and a challenge. I'm announcing that Common Sense Conservatives will put forward a non-confidence motion at the earliest possible opportunity. And I'm asking Jagmeet Singh and the NDP to commit unequivocally before Monday's by-elections. Will they vote non-confidence to bring down the Costly Coalition and trigger a carbon tax election? Or will Jagmeet Singh sell out Canadians again? Which will it be? It's put up or shut up time for the NDP. There will be a carbon tax election, and in it, Canadians will decide whether they keep the NDP Liberals in power to tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, unleash crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder on our streets. Will they vote for a 61 cent a litre carbon tax? Or will they elect a common sense conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime? And we need to bring them down now, because otherwise carbon tax Carney's agenda will predominate. We found out that there's a new phantom finance minister. Now, they have a lame duck minister right now who Trudeau is pushing aside, just like he pushed aside other female ministers. And he's bringing in carbon tax Carney, someone who has too many conflicts to hold the real position. Trudeau said he offered carbon tax Carney the real job, but that caused a dilemma. Would carbon tax Carney pick power or money? And he said, I know, I'll have both. He keeps the money with his chairmanship of a large multinational corporation that's moving investment to China, that buys pipelines in Latin America and the Middle East while he opposes them here in Canada. He gets to push his radical Davos agenda of you will own nothing and be happy, while at the same time, he doesn't have to respect any of the conflict of interest laws. He doesn't have to have his interests and his investments exposed online like the rest of us. He gets all the power and all the money and none of the accountability. And my worry is that he's going to push for a higher carbon tax. And we know that because when Trudeau relented under my pressure and paused the carbon tax on home heating for oil-heated homes, Carbon tax Carney stood up and said, no, there should be a tax on home heating right now. In other words, carbon tax Carney believes the tax doesn't go far enough. I have quotes from his book here. And I raise this with you because he was trying to weasel out and keep his position secret in yesterday's press conference. Here's what he said in his book. The Canadian federal carbon pricing framework is a model for others. One of the most important initiatives is carbon pricing. The best approach is revenue-neutral progressive carbon tax. These are among the reasons why people are starting to know him as Carbon Tax Carney. There we go, even a nice little horn to mark the occasion. Carbon Tax Carney, it's now official. That is his name. And he has a radical agenda. My message to Carbon Tax Carney is come in from out of the shadows. We don't need a phantom finance minister. If you are going to be pulling the strings, you should be on the floor of the House of Commons with your massive financial interests and your foreign interests disclosed to Canadians. Stop pushing to kill Canadian jobs while you ship the jobs abroad. Make your carbon tax agenda known and be held accountable for Canadians so that we can choose in the carbon tax election. And when we do, common sense conservatives will bring home the country we know and love, where hard work earns a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods, where anyone from anywhere can do anything, where the Canadian promise is restored. Now let's bring it home. Yes, we would continue going forward. We're going to bring home the international student system we had before Justin Trudeau, which was a modest number of young people who were extremely promising, could come here and study, and if they excelled, they followed the law, they learned English or French, they could permanently join the Canadian family. We brought them in numbers that we could house, employ, and care for in the event they needed health care. That system was the best in the world. It was under Sean Fraser, who just opened the floodgates and brought in so many people that now, by the admission of Trudeau, Miller, and the entire Liberal government, it's out of control and it's hurting our housing market. In Brampton, they found 26 international students living in one basement, in one house. Kids are being sold into sex slavery and are being sent back to India in body bags. This is turning into a massive humanitarian crisis, entirely caused by Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. We will bring home common sense on international students, temporary foreign workers, and population growth. We will cap population growth so that the housing stock always grows faster than the population. We'll have exact numbers in the next election, but we're building like 240,000 homes. That's like 1.4% increase in our housing supply. You can't grow the population faster than that unless you're going to have worse housing shortages. So we've been, under Trudeau and the NDP, we've been growing the population by almost 3%, while we grow the housing stock by 1.3, 1.4%. No wonder we're running out of homes. That's not even a question of whether you support or not immigration. It's a question of whether you support mathematics. And humans need homes, and I don't care where they come from. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 2 days or 2 centuries, your family's been here for 2 centuries. You need a place to live. The only way to get rid of the shortage is to build homes faster than we add people. And that's why we will have a mathematical formula that caps population growth below the growth in the housing stock.
Migrants could be construed as incendiary. Your promotion to bring down the government. Are you confident that you can actually force an election this fall?
That's up to the sellout NDP. Are they going to put their actions where their words are? Jagmeet Singh claims that he's torn up the supply and confidence agreement. That means he has to vote non-confidence to trigger a carbon tax election. And I'm asking him to answer the question he has dodged 31 times. Will you vote non-confidence to trigger a carbon tax election at the earliest possible time? Yes or no? Sellout Jagmeet Singh. Will you vote to keep your friend Justin Trudeau and the costly coalition in power? Or will you allow Canadians to choose in a carbon tax election? That is the decision.
Comme le réclame Air Canada, advenant qu'il y ait ce qui est très probable, un conflit de travail.
Est-ce que pouvez-vous répéter la question, s'il vous plaît? Air Canada devrait négocier avec ses pilotes. C'est ridicule que nos pilotes sont payés beaucoup moins que les Américains. Les pilotes aux États-Unis sont payés beaucoup plus. En plus, ils payent beaucoup moins d'impôts. Donc, je comprends pourquoi nos pilotes sont tellement frustrés par le système actuel avec des chèques de paie plus petits. Et donc, je suis pour les pilotes et je veux qu'ils aient une convention collective négociée de façon libre. Et je ne pense pas que le gouvernement devrait intervenir pour empêcher une telle négociation. Imposer une fin à la négociation maintenant serait ridicule et on ne supporterait pas ça.
Last question.
Mais la question est fausse, c'est pas banni. Et maintenant, les gens peuvent garder les R-15 à cause des décisions de Justin Trudeau. Ils ont donné une amnistie, donc ce n'est pas banni. Ça fait 4 ans depuis que Justin Trudeau a fait son grande annonce sur les armes à feu et il avoue qu'il n'est pas capable de mettre en place sa propre promesse. Il a fait une conférence de presse dans les dernières élections avec un grand graphique sur le podium. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il a fait depuis? C'est toujours légal, après 9 ans de Justin Trudeau, d'avoir un AR-15. C'est ça la réalité. Et il dit que peut-être, s'il est réélu après des élections, il va les bannir. Donc, ça va être 11 ans de Justin Trudeau avant que cette interdiction soit mise en place. Donc, c'est pas vrai qu'il a banni ça. Et encore, ils n'ont aucun argent dans leur budget pour faire l'achat. Il dit qu'il va acheter ces armes-là. Il n'y a pas d'argent, il n'y a pas de sous pour le faire. L'agenda de Justin Trudeau était clair dans une entrevue avec CTV, décembre 2022. Justin Trudeau veut bannir des armes de chasse. Parce qu'il pense que les chasseurs du Saguenay sont responsables pour des fusillades au centre-ville de Montréal. C'est ridicule. Moi, je vais empêcher des criminels de trafiquer les armes à travers nos frontières en scannant des boîtes, en renforçant les frontières et en mettant des criminels dans la prison. C'est ça le problème qu'il faut résoudre. Ce n'est pas les tireurs sportifs comme des anciens combattants, ni des chasseurs, c'est des criminels. Et moi, je vais mettre des criminels dans la prison. Oui. Yes, I will. Look, I don't understand why it is that Canadian pilots are paid so much worse than American pilots. After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, U.S. pilots make a lot more money and pay a lot less taxes. And pilots at Air Canada are simply trying to make up for the ground they lost as a result of the government-caused inflation. So I would call on Air Canada to negotiate in good faith with the pilots. We're not going to support preempting those negotiations. We stand with the pilots and their right to fight for a fair deal, good wages, and when I'm Prime Minister, not only will they have more powerful paychecks, they will actually pay lower taxes. That they bring home those paychecks That's the bright future we face, a country where hard work earns a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. Let's bring it home.
Thank you, everyone.
So that's our next Prime Minister of Canada. And I don't care what anybody says. You just look at the polls, there's a 99% chance of a majority government and 99% chance that he'll win. He's guaranteed to win the majority of the votes here in Canada. You look at what Jagmeet Singh did, and the NDP, they're at what, 16 seats? Now, here in Canada, we have 338 seats. And as of right now, I believe that Pierre Poilievre has 210 seats. So there's only 128 seats out there. The next closest person is Justin Trudeau, and I believe he's at 77 seats. The Bloc is actually ahead of the NDP. Now, they say that the Bloc is a national party, but because the Bloc is, what I can see is the only reason they're there is because they want to separate from Canada, and they're not really represented across the country. It's called Bloc Québécois for a reason, because they're for Quebec. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody should have a voice in Parliament, but that's what we have these parties for. Now, the Bloc is a separate party, but yet they have seats in Parliament, but they don't represent all of Canada. So I can't see how they should be allowed to have a voice to be able to block the rest of Canada from an election, because that's what's about to happen right now. The Bloc is teaming up with the Liberals now, because Meathead Singh there decided that he was going to so-called rip up the agreement. Now, we all know what that means. It means that he's going to keep just going on doing what he needs to do until he knows that when an election is called, that it passes the time that he needs to get his $2.2 million taxpayer-funded pension. So, what I got a feeling is that if Justin Trudeau doesn't prorogue government like he's done in the past, but if he doesn't prorogue government, that the NDP will keep going along with this charade until the end of this setting, which is just before Christmas, for the Christmas break. That's when they will call an election. And then they get the Christmas break, and when they come back, I believe it's like 45 or 60 days after they call an election that the election is to be held. So even if it's 45 days, that gives Jagmeet till about the 5th or 6th of February, if it's called just before they go on Christmas break. So that guarantees Jagmeet his pension. That's when he will decide to go with Pierre Poilievre and call for an election. So that's just my take. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MickeyAllen3. I do post some stuff that I don't post here. And yeah, again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one, folks.